On the 7th of February 2016, the governor of Bangladesh's central bank stepped out of the elevator on the 9th floor and made his way into the accounts and budgeting department, the most restricted section of the institution. He wasn't there for routine work. He was dealing with a recurring technical problem that had been causing disruptions. The office printer wasn't working. That might sound minor, but this wasn't just any printer. It was tied directly to the bank's core systems and was responsible for automatically printing out transaction logs around the clock. Without it, the staff had no real-time record of money movements. After days of frustration, technicians finally managed to restart it. As the pages began pouring out, something seemed off. Instead of the usual steady flow of reports, there was a flood of unexpected payment instructions. When examined more closely, they revealed 35 transfer requests worth close to $1 billion, all supposedly authorized by the Bangladesh Bank itself. Except no such approvals had been made, and these requests had already been routed through SWIFT, the supposedly unbreachable global financial messaging system. Panic set in. Nearly $1 billion of Bangladesh's national reserves appeared to have vanished, but this wasn't random. This is the Hidden Ledger, where we tell you stories of true crime, major events in history, scandals, business, and more. The story had actually begun 9 months earlier. In May 2015, over 3,000 kilometers away in Manila, a group of men walked into the Jupiter Street branch of RCBC Bank. They opened 4 accounts, each seeded with a mere $500. The men then disappeared, leaving the accounts dormant and seemingly irrelevant. Fast forward to January 2016. At the central bank in Dhaka, an employee casually opened an email at work. Without realizing it, he had triggered a devastating chain of events. That email carried malware, malicious software that infiltrated the bank's systems, granting intruders secret access to its operations. For weeks, the attackers observed how the bank functioned, how transactions were processed, and how the SWIFT system was used. They were patient, gathering everything they needed. February 2016, the strike. On a Thursday evening, as the bank prepared for its weekend shutdown, Friday and Saturday being the rest days in Muslim-majority Bangladesh, the hackers made their move. Armed with stolen SWIFT credentials, they posed as legitimate employees. Using the terminals, they began issuing massive transfer orders, 35 in total, worth $951 million, all directed to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where Bangladesh maintained an account for international transactions. From there, the plan was to move the money into accounts scattered across Asia. New York, Friday morning. At the Fed, staff began processing the instructions as usual. SWIFT messages are considered highly trustworthy, so nothing seemed amiss. By Sunday, when Bangladesh Bank employees returned from their weekend, the only thing drawing their attention was the broken printer. But this wasn't a coincidence. The malware had been programmed to sabotage the printer and wipe SWIFT logs, effectively hiding the fraudulent transactions until it was too late. Once the printer came back online, the truth became clear. The central bank scrambled to issue urgent stop payment requests. Unfortunately, it was Sunday in New York. No one at the Fed was there to act on them. A twist of fate. Despite this, the hackers hadn't accounted for luck turning against them. The Fed's automated systems flagged 30 of the 35 transactions for manual review. Why? Pure chance. One transfer contained a word that matched a blacklisted shipping company linked to Iranian sanctions. That coincidence froze $870 million in attempted transfers. But 5 requests worth $101 million slipped through. Where did the money go? The first $20 million landed in Sri Lanka at an account belonging to a fake NGO, the Shalika Foundation. A sharp-eyed employee noticed something strange. The amount was far too large for a small nonprofit. On top of that, the word foundation had been misspelled as fundation in the documents. The red flags were enough for Deutsche Bank, the intermediary, to bounce the money back. That left $81 million, which flowed straight into the RCBC accounts in the Philippines that had been sitting dormant since the previous year. Instead of raising alarms, the bank let the funds clear. The money was withdrawn and laundered almost immediately through Manila's casinos, where electronic transfers turned into untraceable cash. Timing played a critical role. Bangladesh's weekend delayed detection. The Fed's weekend prevented immediate response. And when Bangladesh tried to recall the funds in the Philippines, it happened to be Chinese New Year, another public holiday. By the time RCBC looked into their accounts on Tuesday, the money was gone. The culprits, two Chinese nationals, Ding and Gao, were eventually tied to the opening of the fake RCBC accounts. But they were merely intermediaries. Before investigators could question them, they escaped to Macau, a Chinese territory beyond the reach of Bangladeshi authorities. The result? The attackers successfully made off with $81 million, still considered the largest bank robbery in history, carried out via cyberspace. Enter Lazarus. Forensic cybersecurity experts later examined the malware used in the heist. The coding style, attack methods, and digital fingerprints matched a series of previous attacks on global financial institutions. All evidence pointed to a notorious group. Lazarus, and buried in the server logs, was an even more telling clue. A North Korean IP address that had briefly connected to the hacker infrastructure, along with Korean language code strings. Though North Korea denied involvement, experts are near unanimous that the Lazarus Group, widely believed to operate under the direction of Pyongyang, was responsible. Beyond the money, this wasn't just about theft. The stolen funds were likely funneled into North Korea's nuclear program, sustaining its regime and financing the lifestyles of its elite. Lazarus had already shown its capabilities with attacks like the Sony Pictures hack in 2014, when threats of terrorist attacks forced cinemas to cancel screenings of The Interview, a satirical film about Kim Jong-un. If this truly was the work of a state actor, then February 2016 marked a chilling milestone, the first time a nation-state directly robbed foreign banks. The implications are staggering. If they can do this, what stops them from targeting political campaigns, infrastructure systems, or even ordinary people's accounts? The events of the Bangladesh Bank Heist prove that in the digital age, the battlefield isn't just in the streets, it's in the servers.